Hi, everybody. Tonight we're going to tie my version of David Whitlock's NearNuff Crayfish or Crawfish. This is a great pattern, early season for mainly it's tied for smallmouth bass, but it will work for largemouth bass. It'll actually work for trout. It's a good all-around pattern. Um, so let's tie one up. All right, I'm going to put a hook in the vise here. This is a heavy wire 1/0 hook. And I don't even know what brand of hook it is. I'm not sure. Um, I have a 110 denier orange thread. We're just gonna put a layer of thread on. We're gonna wrap all the way down to the just where the bend starts. We have that. Trim off our tag end, and then we'll come back up right behind the eye. All right, so we're going to put in our dumbbell eye. This is a dumbbell eye that I painted orange, and I just kind of modeled it up with a brown Sharpie marker because it kind of gives it like I don't know, like a camouflage effect. I think it looks pretty good. Actually, before that, we're going to tie in. Next thing we do here is we're going to tie in. Dave actually promoted putting a monofilament platform on all his flies, or at least the majority of his flies. It definitely helps with durability of the fly. It helps when you're tying on other materials. And so for this, you're going to need monofilament eyes anyway. So I'm going to incorporate the eye as part of the platform. So I'll just measure and then I'll start tying in on so one on each side of the hook. And we want that if you see the monofilm has a natural curve to it. So we want that kind of curve to match the curve of the hook bend. That might be a little bit too long. So let's back that off and we'll trim that a little bit shorter. All right. And we'll put that in. Nice easy wraps here. You don't want to, if you make your wraps too heavy, it's just gonna rotate around the hook shank. All right, so we got the one side in. Now we'll do the other side. It's essentially the same thing. We're just going to measure, cut, and make sure that our eyes are even in the front, which they look pretty good. All right, once we get there, what we can do, I always just take and kind of crease the eyes. I want them to flare out a little bit. And with that, I just make a couple wraps around just to kind of keep them flared. Making some wraps around the eyes, and that just kind of locks them in place. All right. Now, before I move on, I'm going to take a pair of pliers, flat, flat nose pliers, and I'm going to just make sure that's flattened out, and each side is parallel to the hook shank. All right. Now that I have that, I'm going to take some super glue, and I'm just going to saturate that whole thing. Really, really just flood it with super glue. And that's going to allow that monofilament bond to the thread, bond to the hook shank, just kind of make it all one piece, one solid piece. All right, now the next step is to put in our dumbbell eye, and we're going to put that right behind the. We're going to put that maybe a half of an eye length behind the eye. We don't want a lot of room there, and you'll notice with that platform. Now that eye just it's you're not going to twist. That eye's not going to twist. It's not going to move. It's going to tie in really nice. We have that super glue already there. I'm just making kind of crossing wraps. Gonna do like a little helicopter, kind of lock everything in place. And that's it. Now we'll take the super glue once again and we'll just flood that area. We want this to be super, super durable. All right, once that dries, everything should be bonded together. Shouldn't have any trouble. And all right, we'll let that super glue dry. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get one piece of a black rubber leg. I'm going to get one piece of crystal flash. This is a orange copper crystal flash. And then you want one rubber leg of a contrasting color. This is an orange pumpkin. I think it's called speckled. It's barred silly leg. So you want one of each. We're going to put those together and we're actually going to tie them in all at the same time. So we're going to make sure that kind of all together. We're going to wrap it around the thread, come up, and then just start wrapping back. Now, once we get a couple wraps on there, we're going to separate. So we want one black, one orange, and one crystal flash on each side. Sometimes this takes a second to, there we go. Once we have that where we want it, it's going to hold that into a V. See, I got everything held on each side of the hook shank. And we're going to wrap back. All right. Now we want to trim everything up. And we kind of we want three different layers. So we want our black rubber legs to be about 2 times the length of the hook shank. We'll just measure 1, 2. You can be rough. You can do rough estimate with it. You want your crystal flash to be just a little bit shorter than that. So we'll measure that up. We'll do our crystal flash just to be a little bit shorter. And then we want our silly legs to be shorter, even shorter than that. So we want kind of 3 different levels so that when it comes through the water and it's moving, they're all moving differently. They're all moving in different ways. That's it. Oh, I broke I broke a silly leg, so we're gonna tie in another one. Just on one side. No problem. Happens. Pull that and tie that in, and we'll just cut it short here. Cut it the same length. Easy fix. All right. So that's our antenna. Those are kind of the antenna of the fly. Like I said, when you strip this through the water, these are all going to move differently. They're all going to it's just going to be a big attractant. Now, the next thing we're going to need is we're going to take a little bit of this is just a rabbit strip dyed uh, like a rusty brown. You could use orange. You could use different different colors. I like this rusty brown. I think it looks good. Um, so we're gonna cut a piece. We're gonna strip out any any of the under fur and any pieces that are just extremely long. And we're just gonna tie that in. Now we want our mouthpiece to just be shy of the eye. Want the eye to be showing, but just kind of covered up a little bit with your mouthpieces, your mouthpiece, your rabbit strip. Then what I do is I put one piece on top, and then I'll go ahead and flip this over, and pretty much the rest of the fly we're going to tie it in um, upside down because this is going to ride upside down. It's going to ride hook point up. So we're going to get another piece of this rabbit strip, about the same amount. And again, we're going to strip off some of the undesirables, small fluff in the back, and any extra long pieces. And then we're just going to actually tie that in on the bottom, which is our now our top. And then that just kind of gives a full mouth piece simulated, it simulates the mouth area, just kind of gives a full look to it. Provides a better look. You can see that just kind of fills that whole space up pretty well. All right. Now we're going to go to our dubbing. This is a custom blend that I use. Basically, it's kind of a kind of a rusty orange, I guess is the name of it. It's orange mixed with a little tan mixed with a little black rabbit. And yeah, it works pretty good. It seems like it's a good color, good matching color for crayfish in my area. Well, you can tie this in multiple different colors and shades. Crayfish tend to meet and kind of match the substrate of the stream that they're in. So you want to check that out. You want to pick up some crayfish and kind of look at them and see what color would work best for you. All right, so we've got a little bit of dubbing. We're gonna wrap a carapace here. We'll start right behind the mouth parts, and we're just gonna wrap a nice dubbing ball there. We're gonna come back a little bit more with it. If you look at a crawfish, the claws aren't really tied in right at the head. They're tied in just partly back on the body. So that's what we're doing. We're just creating a little space just to kind of make it a little bit more realistic like. And that's pretty good right there. All right, so we got our little carapace. Now we're going to tie in our claws. Now these are claws that I made out of a whiting um, uh, grizzly dyed brown soft tackle patch. You can use like a soft tackle with chickaboo. But what I did is I just select two feathers and then I coat them with Sally Hansen hard as nails, and then I paint the ends, make a little V in the end, then paint them with red nail polish. You want a little bit. I don't know. I think you want a little bit of a um, firmness to your claws. It kind of gives it a nice movement through the water. All right, and we're going to tie those in. And I'm just going to bring them across. Now, you have that natural curve. I like that curve going down when we're tying it in upside down. Um, you decide how you like yours to look. Again, that's why this is my variation of this pattern. You want let me see if I got it right. So this is a little bit long. You want your claw to be about the length of the hook shank. So this is a little bit long. So I'm going to strip some off. See if we can a little bit shorter. Let me do that without ruining it. All right. Tie that in. Again, it really helps with the platform. Just makes tying these in so much easier. Because this is probably the hardest part is getting these claws right. And you want to use loose wraps. Loose wraps, get it to where you want it, how you want it to look. The other side. And then when you strip this through the water, it's gonna flutter and it's gonna move. And I don't like the way that looks either. We're gonna fix that. So getting these claws in is the hardest part of this fly. After that, it's real. Other than that, it's real easy. All right, too bad. That's gonna we're gonna it's gonna make it even better. We're gonna put some more dubbing on here, um, right up against that, and it's actually gonna make that even look better. So now we're gonna go to our dubbing, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna put just a few wraps of dubbing just behind the claws, just kind of lock them in place, lock everything in place. Just hold those claws where you want them. There we go. All right. Now we're going to come back up and we're going to tie in our leg part. And what I'm using here is a brown Schlappen feather. And what I do is I have some old woolly bugger saddles that have these feathers in the back of them, and they're not really good for much else, but they are good for this pattern. We're just gonna strip the end. Want to tie it in by the butt section. We're gonna just tie that in. We're gonna come up. We're gonna come back to our spot, and we're just gonna dub forward. Just gonna dub right up to to behind the dumbbell eye. And you don't have to be too careful this dubbing, but you want to make it tight. You want to kind of make sort of a little bit of a taper. Because a crawfish is fatter towards the head and it goes skinnier as it gets down through the tail. But as you can see, we're actually gonna we're going to take some, we're going to brush that out and just kind of make it all one with the legs. We'll see here in a little bit. All right, a little bit more dubbing here. And perfect. I'll just take a little bit of dubbing. I'll just make a little kind of cross wrap around my legs, then come back, or not around my legs, around the dumbbell eye. Just a couple cross wraps. All right. Now we're going to take our Schlappen feather and we're going to make one full turn at the top. And then we're going to make open wraps, probably 2 or 3 turns moving down to behind the eye. There's only, we don't want that super full. Fish don't have a lot of legs. They have, well, they have 4 sets of legs. I could be wrong about that. They don't have a lot. So just make a couple wraps for your legs and trim that out. And then we're gonna sweep everything back best that we can. Use your fingers, sweep everything back, and then just make some wraps in front just to kind of get everything in that direction. All right, like that. Now we're gonna finish up with a little more dubbing. And we're going to dub again. We're going to cover our thread wraps. We're going to dub around the eye a little bit, make sure that that's good on top and bottom. And then essentially we're done with the majority of the fly. There'll be a couple things here to finish it out, but cover our thread wraps. I'm going to turn that over. We're going to look. Want to make sure that we have good dubbing coverage in front and behind, or top and bottom, I should say. Sometimes you think you're dubbing, or especially around something like a dumbbell eye or a wing, and you look and it looks real good from the top, but then you flip it over and realize, yeah, it doesn't look that good from the bottom. So um, definitely check both directions. That looks pretty good. And now we can whip finish. Mm. 4 or 5 turn whip finish. Cut our thread. We'll take our little super glue and we'll just touch that area. That'll allow that to soak in and do well. Take our bodkin, clear our eye in case we got any super glue in the eye. We'll clear that out. And then once that dries, now what I'll do now is I'll take a little bit of Velcro on a stick here. Then I'll just start brushing that all back. That just kind of gets that dubbing brushed out, mixes in with the legs, and just kind of makes it all look all one smooth motion. Be careful you don't get your claws, which I have done that in the past. And then what I'll do is I'll sweep all that leg material, sweep it down to the bottom. Then you can trim out anything sticking up on top. It just kind of gives it a appearance of legs. Because we don't need anything on the abdomen. Because we want all those legs to just kind of be swept down low to the bottom. Gives that appearance. And essentially we're done. We strip that through the water. It looks really realistic. It looks like a defensive crawfish. Really triggers the fish to make a strike. So yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And thank you for watching. And I hope you learned something and enjoy the pattern. All right, take care.